Ladies and gentlemen, dear attendees, welcome to the third day of the LIBER Annual Conference 2021. My name is Vanja Kovačev and it is my pleasure to be once again your Belgrade host. During the program today, we will present to you the National Library of Serbia, a magnificent temple of Serbian culture and heritage that you can see now in the background. Let me tell you a little bit about it. The National Library was founded in 1832 and it is the oldest cultural institution in Serbia. During the turbulent history of this country and this town, this library changed its location. But it never changed its first and most important purpose, to collect and preserve books and other materials to safeguard the Serbian language as an important part of the national identity. On April 6, 1941, during the infamous bombing of Belgrade in the Second World War, this library, or to be precise, library on Kosančiće Venac location, was completely destroyed. And the loss has been and remains unrecoverable. However, the future brought new opportunities, and the National Library got a new location on the Vračar Plateau in the heart of Belgrade city, where we are located right now. In the spring of 1973, symbolically, also on the April 6th, a new National Library of Serbia opened the doors of its new building, in which it is still located today. On the path of knowledge for the modern user through the National Library of Serbia, the main mission is combination of modern and traditional. Over 6 million units of library material, rich funds for researchers as well as professional librarians, make the National Library of Serbia one of the leading institutions in the region. This is why the National Library of Serbia is today recognizable in the world as a large deposit of books, an umbrella institution for the network of libraries in Serbia, and an important international cultural center. Let me share with you an interesting fact. This year we mark the 60th anniversary since Ivo Andrić, Serbian writer, received the Nobel Prize for Literature. What you can see here is a membership card, number 1, that was given to Ivo Andrić, who, by the way, donated all the funds from the award to the libraries for enriching their funds. And now we find ourselves in the central atrium of the National Library of Serbia. Here with me I have the director of the library, and I will ask you about this central atrium. It's an amazing, really nice space in the library. What's the purpose of this atrium?
But many cultural events are happening here. A number of exhibitions, and actually, since we are talking about that, we are building a new storage that is going to provide us with the next maybe 40-50 years of uninterrupted operation. And here are 26 different architectural solutions, basically 26 potential libraries that we have here. So it's an exhibition, and I'm just using it as an example of what we do here.
So it's exhibition place also?
Some concerts, sometimes parties with diplomats or donors or the usual stuff. And we are almost in the open, although we are not in the open. That was the idea. There is, I guess, some remote Japanese inspiration. You have something akin to the Japanese garden here with the sand. And this symbol here is a symbol of flames, because the original library was destroyed in 1941 with 500,000 books being burned, and this is something between a flower and the flames, kind of flame of flower, reminding us that this library is not just a library in its own right, which it has become now, but in the beginning it was a monument to the destroyed library.
To the memory of the destroyed library. We continue our journey in the National Library of Serbia. Hello once again from the sunny Belgrade and the National Library of Serbia, which is, as you know, the host of the third day of the LIBER 50th Annual Conference. Join me now to learn more about very interesting books from the collection of the miniature books of the National Library of Serbia. This library holds 2 German books measuring just 6 × 6 millimeters and a mini book called The War Manifesto of King Francis Joseph I from 1914. 2 German miniature books are The Lord's Prayer, published in 1959 in 7 languages in Munich by Waldmann and Pfitzner, and Der Olympische Eid from 1972, published in 6 languages by the same publisher and in the same mini format. These books are placed in mini transparent boxes, and since they cannot be read with the naked eye, the magnifying glass is located below them to enable the reading. Amazing, isn't it? These two miniature books are also the smallest in the entire collection. The first book was most likely published on the occasion of the marking of the 5 centuries since Gutenberg's first books, and the second on the occasion of the 1972 Olympic Games in Munich. You can find out more about these books in the social programs we have prepared for you after the official conference program. It's time to move on to our next session named An Introduction to Expert Briefings, Trusted and Actionable Analysis of Global Trends and Developments, presented to you by our sponsor Emerald Publishing. Enjoy!
Hello, welcome to our virtual session today. I'm Rachel Fitch, Product Manager at Emerald Publishing for Expert Briefings, and I'm joined by my colleague Lindsey Lambert, our Product Marketing Manager. I'm just going to start with a little introduction to Emerald Publishing. Emerald Publishing is one of the world's leading digital-first publishers, commissioning, curating and showcasing research that can make a real difference. We publish over 300 journals, 3,000 books and case studies in several disciplines, and we're renowned for our content in business management and social sciences. We work with thousands of universities and business schools across the world to share knowledge and provide the kind of debate that leads to positive change. We're a family business, passionate about people and doing things differently. Today, we're here to talk to you about our Expert Briefings product. Lindsey is going to give you a brief introduction to the Expert Briefings content, and I'm going to demonstrate the product on our platform, Emerald Insight. There will be time for questions at the end, so please get in touch if there's anything you'd like to ask. Now I'm going to hand over to Lindsey.
Thanks, Rachel. Next slide, Rachel. Thank you. So Emerald partnered with Oxford Analytica to deliver this unique resource to higher education institutions. It's to a new audience of students and academics. So what are expert briefings? Expert briefings are, put plainly, unbiased geopolitical and macroeconomic analysis in a trusted online resource. They explore the impact and implication of emerging trends and developments, bringing thematic teaching to life with ready-made course content. It's actionable insights from a global network of academics, pharmacy policymakers, regulators and industry leaders on political, social and economic events. And it's a growing collection of over 30,000 briefings that's currently available on Emerald Insight, our content platform. With an average of 4,900 briefings added each year, new briefings are published every single day. And users can be alerted to these by signing up to receive the Expert Daily Briefings email alert. And you can access this from the Browse page on Emerald Insight, which you can see on the screen. So for institutional access to Expert Briefings, institutions can choose from an archive purchase, which includes perpetual access to all content, or an annual subscription, which includes access to all current and archive content. Next slide, Rachel. Thank you. So how are briefings created and by who? So the calibre for the contributors are really of the highest level. It's a global network of 1,500 plus senior faculty from first-class universities, specialists from world's leading research institutes and individual industry and sector experts who distill data from multiple verified sources. So this means that researchers' faculty can quickly identify what's important and understand the broader significance. So the methodology for creating an expert briefings is really around separating the signal from the noise. It's generating actionable insights from a mass of complicated, confused, and sometimes uncertain information, by then subjecting this to analytical rigour and judgment from a cross-section of regional and sectoral specialists, who then remove bias, validate the facts, challenge arguments to ensure complete accuracy of information. The end result is a single source of trusted, evidence-based analysis. So who uses expert briefings and why? So originally, expert briefings were created in a style that was used to brief the former US presidents with actionable insights. Today, Expert briefings serve world leaders in government and industry to assess and anticipate the effects of geopolitical and macroeconomic trends and developments on strategies, operations, policies and investments. They're used to establish risk, inform strategy, and for business leaders to make sound decisions. So why did Emerald partner with Oxford Analytica? Our partnership with Oxford Analytica allows universities to access this very same critical information that leaders are using to make these real-world decisions. It's a partnership that's born from shared values, a passion for making research and insight accessible and at the forefront of global challenges. By presenting current insights from all sections of society, this content serves to provide a link between the global networks of faculty, researchers, practitioners and policymakers. So for research, this can help universities achieve real impact goals, as it encourages research that can be directly applied in the real world. So who uses expert briefings and why? Again, it really is a resource that's for truly inspired teaching. So briefings address implications for business, politics, economics, international relations. It allows students and faculty and researchers to identify the most pressing challenges of today. So for students, what does this mean? It develops core skills. Expert briefings distill academic and policy insights for decision makers. So using them gives students practice in using and presenting information that will serve them in their future careers. It's designed to inspire tomorrow's decision makers. So it gives your students the same privileged access to the analysis and events that are making headlines regionally and worldwide. So thinking about the archive, this gives context to past events, and it gives the thought leaders of tomorrow an insight into what's shaped their world and a frame of reference for decisions that they'll need to make in the future. For a subscription, it gives students an understanding into how current global and local events are shaping today's world and dictating their future. Briefings are written in simple English and formatted for easy reading, so it makes them accessible to students at all levels, non-native English speakers in particular. So for faculty, it allows faculty to stay relevant, always having to hand an up-to-date real-world example that can be used to show students theories and concepts from teaching in action. It saves time. Analysts do the hard work of distilling data from multiple verified sources to pick out the most salient facts and presenting them alongside contextual information. So it's ready to use at any time. It's a perfect tool to use for seminar discussions or form the basis of essay questions. And importantly, it's trusted and objective. In contrast to fragmented, unverified information that can be yielded from internet searches, Expert Briefings is a highly credible source of impartial and real-time commentary. Next slide. So here's just a snapshot of the huge topical coverage that Expert Briefings covers, and it really is just a snapshot. So we can see on the right there are examples of global coverage, climate change, cybersecurity, global economy, COVID-19. They're just some examples of the coverage that Expert Briefings touches on. And on the left you can see some regional examples. So with Expert Briefings we can see how global events impact regions differently, how situations and events have evolved over time. And shortly Rachel will be demonstrating how to access Expert Briefings on Emerald Insight, and you'll see how using the browse functionality you can filter Expert Briefings using date, keyword and country focus. Thanks, Rachel. So I just wanted to give you a flavour of Expert Briefings and to show how important topics are approached. So I pulled out two very recent examples from the last few days. So the first example here looks at how organised crime groups will take advantage of high demand and in many cases short supply for COVID vaccines. The briefing immediately considers how the poor will be disproportionately impacted. It makes reference to the fact that on the 6th of June, the World Health Organization stated that 6 months after the first vaccines were administered, high-income countries administered 44% of the world's doses, while low-income countries administered just 0.4%. It considers the immediate impacts, making note that where vaccine imports have been refused from fear that they may be counterfeit. It outlines the ways that criminals may take advantage through black market vaccines by targeting underdeveloped pharmaceutical supply chains and also falsely impersonating a vaccine service online. It then considers the predicted risks, for example, the health risks due to incorrect storage, dosage of ingredients, to giving people a false sense of security if it is in fact a counterfeit vaccine, to damaging public trust and the social fabric of communities, as the profits may be used to fund other socially destabilising activities. It's also a concern and raises the reputational risks of genuine vaccines and how this may possibly impact take-up of vaccines. The outlook section of the briefing touches on the broad areas to consider for a solution. So one solution, for example, either raise the cost of the criminal operation or reduce the demand. So if we were to use the UN Sustainable Development Goals just to demonstrate how briefings cover a range of multidisciplinary themes, this particular briefing considers the risks and implications in context of good health and well-being, industry, infrastructure and innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, peace, justice and strong institutions. So for the second example, and taking an excerpt from the briefing itself, miners have started to introduce innovative technologies and improve sustainability, and most are target emission reductions. However, approaches and ambitions differ, and the EU is yet to extend its sustainability measures to mining. This is initially put into context by considering the shift in priorities and pressures faced by miners, in particular from investors. We're then given examples of how miners have responded to requirements to demonstrate ESG credentials. In light of this, we're told that 65% of mining executives expect long-term sustainability initiatives to conflict with the immediate need to cut costs. The briefings then outline the difference in emissions targets around the world, distilling all of this data into one place. Bringing to light the biggest challenges facing the industry. It calls for predictive analytics to help management understand the impact on climate change. It also raises the concerns around the need for standardised definitions and processes, but then contrasts this with the progress made by the EU. It then considers the implications for investing in the production and consumption of commodities, providing key data, for example. The production of nickel, which is critical to the development of the battery industry, carries a heavy carbon footprint. 1 tonne of nickel produces emissions equivalent to 18 tonnes of CO2. It also brings forth issues around governance, including around the lack of diversity in the industry, and survey data states that 10% of board members are women. So for this briefing, it can cover themes around gender equality, clean energy, decent work and economic growth, responsible consumption and production, and climate action. So I hope that that's just given you a flavour, an essence of what expert briefings can cover. And those were really just 2 examples that I've just pulled off. So I'll now pass you over to my colleague, Rachel, who's going to demonstrate how expert briefings are accessed on Emerald Insight.
Thank you, Lindsey, for that very insightful talk. I hope you all agree those were 2 interesting topics that Lindsey covered this morning and demonstrate how important expert briefings are in academia and teaching. So I'm just going to take you through a demonstration of our platform, Emerald Insight, and demonstrate how expert briefings can be accessed. So if we click on the top link, browse our content, and from here we get an option to select expert briefings, which is just running slowly this morning. Thank you. So from the home page, we can see very clearly that this page is talking about our Expert Briefings product. We can access the latest daily briefings from the home page, and we can explore all of the different briefings through this link here, or by using one of the search terms, by using a search term and entering it in the top search bar. Firstly, I'm going to take you through accessing via this link. So from this page, we're presented with briefings in chronological order from the date that they've been published. So briefings are published every day, as Lindsey's already mentioned, approximately 25 new briefings per day, and they get uploaded onto the platform in the afternoon. We can access content from date, so we can look back, for example, at the last 3 months worth of expert briefings content to refine our search further. We can use the crosses there to go back and bring us back all of the content. We can also refine by content type. So if we look at our executive summary, there's 3 types of briefing in total. The executive summary offers a brief account of an unfolding situation or an update on an ongoing event, including the possible implications. And you can see here, they talk about, they're very brief, following up on a situation, as I said, that may have happened in the past. We can then look back. Apologies. And look at our expert briefing. So the expert briefing is the longer form of content. And this content, it's generally approximately 1,200 words. They're presented in a consistent format and include the event, so what's actually happened, what is the briefing talking about, the significance of that event, the analysis, so what Oxford Analytica have deemed from that event and what's happening. And then it talks about the conclusion right at the end. Very usefully as well, we have links here to other related articles from Emerald Insight or to other related expert briefings. Within the briefing, we can also see there's certain keywords which are adapted and associated with that article. So we can look further into a specific country, for example, or into a specific topic that the briefing is related to. There's also the citation information here, very easy to access. And if we just click back again, we can see our graphical content. And graphical content is a pictorial view of analysis presented in a very easy to use format. It's possible to zoom in on that analysis so you can see it more clearly. And then a visual summary of comparative data highlighting risks and opportunity on a particular theme or topic. They are always accompanied by an impact and a conclusion. I'll just click back onto another expert briefing. So we can also use the advanced search to find content. If we click the expert briefing button, we can put in a search term. So for example, I've used pandemic to find content specifically about the pandemic, and I want to look and search for content from 2020 to 2021. This will bring back all content published relating to the pandemic during that period of time. So as you can see, the content is easy to search and is visually appealing. The briefings are compact, designed to be easily digestible, as Lindsay had already talked about, and very clearly highlight what the analysis is trying to tell us and give us a conclusion and maybe some ideas about what's going to happen or what Oxford Analytica think may happen in the future. So that's the end of my briefing for now. And I think we're going to move on to questions. If anybody has any questions they'd like to ask.
Hello, and thank you for the presentation. I'm joining now as someone who will, from the team, ask the question. I have two questions actually. How stable is the platform? This is the question from the audience. Can you tell us more about the number of sources you use?
In terms of the stability of Emerald Insight, I'd have to find exactly the number of sources that we use, but it's extremely stable. I mean, we serve institutions globally, and you know we have a customer support team who are on hand to support both administrators in the institution and also students as well if they need any help in terms of access, in terms of authenticating on the platform. So there's not been, in my time at Emerald for 13 years, any major issues with access to content on Emerald Insight.
Yes, thank you. The number of sources, so people can maybe write an email to you to...
Yes, absolutely.
So you are open for Q's and A's. Let me ask the team if we have more questions. Doesn't seem to... No, there are no more questions. So thank you for this part.
Absolutely. If there are any questions, please do contact us on the email address contact@emerald, all one word, lowercase, @emerald.com. And just a couple of things just to mention at the end. More information on expert briefings can be found on the web addresses that you can see on screen. And then also just to mention that we encourage people to sign up to the Expert Briefings monthly pick email. And so every week we make one briefing free to access, excuse me, and then we make all of those briefings, package them up and send them on to people who sign up to that monthly pick so they can access those briefings for free. Just to give people, I guess, you know, just a flavour in terms of what kind of content Expert Briefings covers. That's a great introduction.
Sounds great, Lindsay. Thank you so much, both for the presentation and for the Q&A session. Thanks. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
A big thanks to Rachel Fitch and Lindsey Lambert from Emerald Publishing for a very good and professional presentation we all heard.